Welcome to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Circle, the leading employee benefits and engagement platform.
Artificial intelligence has been an interesting topic of discussion across industries, and it has also reached the HR domain with some vast and ever-changing concepts. Recently, AI is being viewed as a viable tool in boosting employee engagement and improving the way people are being recruited, trained, and retained in organizations around the globe. Hello everyone, this is Sushmita from Vantage HR Influencers Podcast, and to know more about artificial intelligence and its role in shaping HR and employee experience, today I have with me Mr. Ashish Mediratta. Ashish is the Vice President and Principal, Talent Transformation at Eightfold India. Presently, he is responsible for enabling global organizations transform their HR functions using their talent intelligence platform. Prior to Eightfold, Ashish spent a glorious 28 years of his career in different organizations of international repute. He has been the Senior Director, HR at Tata Communications, Global Head, Talent Acquisition at Wipro, and also worked for Nokia Siemens and Genpact. Welcome to the show, Ashish.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, so before we start, please let us know a little more about yourself and your journey in HR.
I think you've given more than due justice already. So actually my career started in sales, and from there I moved into operations in GE Capital, which later became Genpact. And over there, I think the journey into HR started. So though by qualification I'm an engineer and MBA in marketing and finance, someone felt that I would do a good job perhaps in recruitment, which is something that I call as HR sales, right? And that's where in 2004, my journey began in recruitment, and from there into all parts of HR.
Okay, so let's start with the topic, Ashish. How AI can shape HR and employee experience. So most professionals today understand that the adoption of smart technology is actively changing workplaces. How would you like to explain this? Why as an organization do we need to implement AI solutions in the HR process?
See, HR globally, when you look at organizations, they have really fragmented systems. And it's no one's fault. That's how the structure has evolved over a period of time. Now, there are functions within HR. So let's say talent management, talent acquisition, employee engagement. There is compensation benefits. There is HR, IT. There is learning and development. Now, practically all of them have got different point solutions which don't talk to each other. As a result of that, the processes are broken, data is fragmented, and when it comes to the top management to take decisions, that becomes very difficult to implement on the ground. Right. So that's where, what they require is something like a talent intelligence platform which can, point them in the right direction. And that's where I guess, players like Eightfold AI have, I think, a huge future ahead.
Okay. So according to you, what are the top 3 applications of AI in HR?
I would look at it this way. One would be to identify skills. Next would be to identify potential of employees and candidates. And thirdly would be to enhance and improve the hiring process of organizations.
Right. So AI can help in hiring better, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So tell us more about it. How can it be used to achieve greater diversity in hiring by eliminating biases?
Absolutely true. So there are 2 parts to this. You said the first part being, how does it help in hiring better? So the way I see it happening now and for future is that, organizations have a vast database of candidates with them already. What they struggle to do is to bubble up or surface up relevant candidates who could be in their database, first of all. Right. Improving that talent network for them is important. Now look at the times today. There are not hundreds, but thousands of people applying for every single job. Now, let's talk realistically. Is it possible for any human being to go through all 1,000 resumes to select which one they want to forward to hiring managers for interviews? That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So what they need is an AI support, which can understand the skills of CVs. Mind you, this is far more advanced to what is typically done in the business today as a Boolean search. So AI doesn't do that. In our case, basis the algorithm that has been designed by our founders, with the neural networks and machine learning capability. Now, this AI is powerful enough and understands more than 1 million skills, having studied more than 1.5 billion profiles globally. The AI understands skills, jobs, and roles. Now, with this, what really is going to happen is that recruiters need not spend a whole lot of time worrying about going through profiles. The algorithm will pick them up and present them. So that is extremely useful to them. Coming to the point on diversity, today, I think more than ever before, because of COVID and what we have seen across the world, and especially in the US, diversity has become such an important parameter or a guiding force for organizations. Now, at this time, what organizations need today is a process that can cover the fact of bias in hiring processes. What if hiring managers look at CVs and then simply drop the candidate basis gender or ethnicity or whatever? Now, for that, the diversity masking feature of Eightfold is extremely potent and powerful. Now, with this, hiring managers will get to see only a profile of a candidate which covers their skills, qualifications and experience. In this, what is hidden or masked is the candidate's photograph, name, email ID, phone number, LinkedIn ID, or whatever which can give an indication towards gender or ethnicity, etc. Right? Now, with this, when the hiring managers shortlist the candidate, and they interview and they give their feedback, that's how the entire process is then covered and tracked along with data end to end. So what is the droppage or the leakage at each step of the hiring process. I think this will allow managements of organizations, the CXOs really, to really stand up in any forum and make the statement that their hiring process is bias free. And I think that's a huge achievement.
Yeah, it's an achievement for even the candidates, right? It's
absolutely. So there's another fact that we acknowledge, which is that typically if it is a job which is commonly seen by both men and women, women would perhaps apply for a job when they see the skills that they possess are something like at least an 80% match, right, with the job. Whereas for men, it is noticed that they have propensity to apply for even a much lower percentage fitness as per their own view compared to women. Now with the focus now on skills, right, women need not have to worry about what they feel is their quality of match versus the job description. The AI will take care of that.
Right. Yeah. So very nicely explained, Ashish. So there's a lot of forecasting going on when it comes to the future of AI in HR. According to you, what different ways AI will keep coming back in the future? Like, will AI eventually replace human recruiters, or like, is it going to take over the human from human resources?
Oh, that's an amazing point you have raised, and a big apprehension in everyone's mind, and especially in HR. The way I see the future is that AI is going to be a very powerful ally of HR. Today, there are so many, operational, transactional activities that, HR folks are involved in, which should be, so automated in such a way that, they are able to evolve to the next level of providing HR as a service to their businesses. Today, so for instance, if let's say a recruiter today is spending almost 30% of their time in scheduling interviews, they are spending, let's say, another 30 to 40% of their time, in sourcing candidates, or just basically working to identify the right people for the job. Now, what if a whole lot of those operational activities could be supported by AI? And that's where I think the recruiters will be able to evolve themselves as TA business partners. People who are sitting with the business on the same table, right? And they are talking about strategies on how to build, the workforce of the future, how they will be able to make relevant contributions in, let's say, market mapping, skill mapping, and actually then, partnering with their business leaders to build the future of the organization. Today, if a whole lot of effort of HR is into operational activities, how do you move that into strategic activities, right? That's what AI will enable them with.
So, coming to the topic of employee experiences and the role of AI, like personalizing and humanizing employee experience is critical to HR. How would you like to say about AI, how it can improve the overall employee experience in an organization?
So, yeah, allow me to give you 3 examples, and I'm sure, any listener who has been into the corporate world for a while, they'll be able to relate to it. So, number one, the one thing that employees do care about is their career inside the organization. Now, imagine that one has to look at the intranet of the company all the time to find out relevant jobs for themselves, to, if they have been into a role for 2 years, 3 years, and they want to do something else, right? So what do? They keep looking over their shoulder all the time. And whenever they are busy, as luck would have it, a brilliant job will come and go away. They have missed the opportunity. Why? Because they were busy in office work. Now, what if that same, experience is enhanced using AI? What if the algorithm is able to search and match employees with relevant new jobs opening in the company every day, and just give them a nudge that this is something that might be of interest to you? What it does is, it really enables employees to build their career. Number 2, it allows HR leaders to really tell them that the organization cares for you and would want you to develop your career inside the organization rather than outside. This was the first experience, I think, that has to be enhanced, and very, very urgently, immediately for people, especially now in the COVID situation, when companies are thinking of layoffs, right? So why lay off now when you have to hire them perhaps in 3 months or 6 months time, because COVID is not going to stay forever, right? Now, this is the use case number 2 that I was mentioning. What if the algorithm tells HR and employees the current skills of employees, and what are the, let's say, potential jobs that they can aim for in the near future? What are the skill gaps, and what are associated with that trainings which can bridge the skill gap? Now, imagine if this kind of an opportunity is available to employees, and they know that they can, train themselves, right, as a self-service, right, and be ready for jobs which are likely to appear 3 to 6 months down the line, right? Why have a fear of redundancy when you can upgrade yourself? Now, the third thing that I would want to add with this is that, okay, you have trained yourself, but so what? You don't have hands-on experience, right? So that's where, the talent intelligence platform of Eightfold comes with a project marketplace where, business managers can provide projects, right? And people who have got upskilled with training, they can actually do projects hands-on. So let's take an example. So let's say business wants to hire people with Angular JS or Angular 2 software knowledge, maybe 6 months down the line, and you want to hire some 30, 40, 50 people, right, as a company.
Right.
Now, what prevents us to first get them trained? So people who know Java, Python, or Node.js kind of technologies, why can't they be trained over a period of, let's say, 2 months, and then over the next 3 to 4 months given hands-on projects, for example, through the project marketplace, right, where hiring managers or other business managers now get a first-hand view of employees, right, that who are showing the potential, who are being totally committed to their own success, and they should be given opportunities. I think there is a phenomenal play available for organizations who can think through this, right, and prepare for what's required six to 8 months down the line.
So, Ashish, employee engagement is a very important aspect in employee experience. I hope you'd agree to that, right? So, how can AI redesign employee engagement in an organization?
See, employee experience is, in every aspect of what they do, right? So HR as a portfolio of services, touches an employee right before hiring, right? During the, interviews, sourcing them, right down to the exit. Now, what if, employees had a sort of a single window solution to all their needs? What if they could reach into a platform and, you know, and it takes care of whatever their ask is? I think if organizations are able to think deeply about it, come up with that, Uberized experience, if I may use that word, because no one ever thought, a few years ago that, you literally wish and a cab is literally standing outside your door, right? So if that experience can be brought, and Netflix is there as another example. So this piece of getting, technology, getting AI to give them sort of a single window solution will be absolutely mind-boggling. And for that, I think there are enough examples that Eightfold has already provided, that we are well and truly on that path.
Okay. So as you've already mentioned, that considering COVID-19 and mass layoffs, people worldwide are searching for jobs that match their skills and requirements. And the Eightfold is doing a magnificent job of getting the laid off employees connected with the right positions by providing the platform absolutely free of cost. Please let us know more about it. Like, how do you see it as an opportunity? And are there any challenges that Eightfold is facing right now?
Well, this is actually an incredible time. In the sense that, we started seeing this first in the US, where it was reported that, millions upon millions had gotten laid off, right? And that's where, we partnered along with McKinsey to launch our talent exchange platform. Over there, companies are able to register themselves and float their jobs. People who are looking for openings, they can be in touch with such companies, and the beauty of this platform is that the algorithm is doing the match, right? So again, like I mentioned earlier, if there are thousands of CVs coming in, how does a recruiter solve for that? That's what the algorithm is doing, providing the best candidates upfront, right? And I think the organization has taken a massive step in terms of providing this platform free during this particular crisis, right, to companies which are in need of such a situation. And on top of it, organizations are now looking at this as an opportunity to do transformation. And we see an incredible amount of interest in corporates all over the world, right? And it's absolutely incredible the kind of support we are getting from the corporate world, at this time, when one would have thought that perhaps people would want to conserve, and would want to wait it out and see how things happen. But we are finding an amazing amount of interest in corporates to take this as an opportunity to drive transformation. And
Right.
it's actually working well for Eightfold.
Okay. So, what would be your one piece of advice for the organizations who are planning to adopt AI for talent management?
My one piece of advice would be that please care for your people, care for their skills, and if we are able to forecast future jobs, especially 3 to 6 months down the line, we easily can sit together and figure out ways to upskill the existing employees. So before we lay them off, let's figure out ways to retain them, perhaps even at lower compensation. But before laying them off, I would say please look at a possibility of training them, skilling them, and preparing them for jobs which are available 6 months down the line, right? And I think that will be a huge service to families at a social level.
Right.
I think this time is absolutely incredible, and we have never ever experienced it, and I hope we never have to do again. But this is the time when we have to really show that we care for our people.
Okay, so there's a lot more to know from you, Ashish. So how can our listeners reach out to you?
Well, I'm there on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm there on Facebook. My email ID and phone numbers are also available pretty much. So it's actually quite easy to reach out to me, and all my coordinates are in public domain.
Okay.
So I'm happy to be available as a support to anyone who would like to.
Okay. So that was a great conversation with you, Ashish. Thanks a lot for joining me.
Entirely my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage HR Influencers Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for new episodes.